From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story, several major market indices are recovering after taking big losses during trading yesterday.
The Dow Jones is up nearly 0.75%, but the price of oil is still under 30 a barrel. UAF economists say state revenue earned from oil tax credits could be at risk from low oil prices, but permanent fund money is more closely dependent on the stock market. Energy economist Doug Reynolds says PFD portfolio managers typically trade away poor-performing stocks that could hurt fund earnings. He says projections and management practices depict long-term averages and typically weather quick losses or gains. Reynolds says Governor Walker's plan to use PFD revenue to fill gaps in the state budget could be impacted if the stock market performs poorly over the long term.
Seeing the financial crisis, we've seen the dot-com crisis, so it's not out of the question that you could have a really stark decline in the stock prices and it would affect the permanent fund. Now they manage around that as best they can, but you can only do so much and you'll have losses. And they do have bonds and the bonds react differently. It's a stabilizing factor.
A rally took place today to bring John Kverlik's killer to justice. Here's the story.
A rally formed outside the Fairbanks courthouse earlier this afternoon in support of John Kverlik's case and bringing his killers to justice.
We want everyone to know that we're watching this case closely. We don't want these guys to get off with a short sentence. It tends to happen a lot in Alaska. You know, people will take deals and they won't get very long in prison and then they get out on parole very early. These guys took someone out of our community that meant a lot to us.
It's been a long haul, so we just want to make sure that everything is, that they know we're here, that we're not going to give up on justice for John.
John Kverlik Jr. was shot to death last May in a parking lot outside the Rock and Rodeo nightclub on the Old Stees Highway. After his death, a statewide manhunt ensued and police located Kverlik's alleged killer last October in Texas. 26-year-old Joel Joseph was arrested, then extradited back to Fairbanks to stand trial. He has pled not guilty. Joseph's court date is scheduled for February, but the defense says it's likely to ask for more time to prepare. 2 other men have been charged for their involvement in this case, and the Fairbanks Police Department is still on the lookout for 2 more suspects. Kverlik supporters say the justice system has treated this case fairly and hope that continues.
There was a good community outreach as far as this case goes, so we're very pleased with that as of now. So we're hoping to keep that momentum going.
There are 2 more individuals out there, and if someone sees this, maybe they might, look at the video and say, oh, hey, I know those guys. And
anyone with information about this case is still asked to contact the Fairbanks Police Department. Sarah Dabowski reporting.
The Army is cutting troops across the country to downsize force levels from 490,000 to 450,000 soldiers. Included in the proposed cuts is a plan to downsize the 425th Airborne Brigade Combat Team stationed in Anchorage. During a Senate Armed Service Committee hearing today, Senator Dan Sullivan pointed out the total number of Army personnel. There are 1,500 band members and 1,100 prisoners at Fort Leavenworth and more than 1,500 members of the Army who are in the process of leaving the Army and are not available for deployments or combat. He has long questioned why cuts would be made of the 425th given the team's strategic location in the Arctic and Pacific Theater. While questioning Secretary of the Army nominee Eric Fanning today, Senator Sullivan asked for a strong commitment to reduce troops that are not capable of fighting before cutting troops from the 425th.
That you and General Milley would commit to cut the trigger pullers strategically located like the 425 absolutely positively last relative to any other soldiers you're looking at cutting. Can I get that commitment from you?
You absolutely have that commitment, Senator.
When we come back, a stone that was for years used as a lawn ornament in California has been returned to Alaska, and we'll tell you why.
Also, in this week's installment of Interiortainment, Monty Bowen will spotlight a local dancers and others from the lower 48 getting together to celebrate. These and other stories when we return.
And welcome back. In 1973, the Supreme Court of the United States, in the case of Roe versus Wade, struck down most state laws restricting abortion in the first trimester of pregnancy. Tomorrow, Right to Life movement supporters across the country will gather to once again protest abortions. Locally, civil protesters will rally on the Cushman Street Bridge downtown. Now, the goal of the group was to peacefully bring recognition to the public of how serious the group feels that act of abortion, along with the mandate from the Supreme Court, should be abolished.
It's like a very peaceful prayer for Roe versus Wade, in remembrance of Roe versus Wade, which has been going on. It's been for 43 years, since 1973. And what we're doing is we're going to stand out there on the Cushman Street Bridge from 5:30 to 6:30 on this Friday, January 22nd, to peacefully pray for the unborn and the mothers affected by abortion.
A rock that was recently used as a lawn ornament in California is making its debut at the UA Museum of the North after scientists uncovered the significance of markings on its surface. Past owners of the rock dubbed it the seal stone for the face-like image resembling the animal found on the side of the rare object. Museum workers say it's believed to have been found by an American airman in the Aleutian Islands during World War II. Since then, the rock has found itself in the hands of a number of private collectors. The stone also depicts petroglyphs of whales, faces, and other animals. Researchers say it could have been used for ceremonial purposes. Little is known about the exact origin of the seal stone. Archaeologist collector manager Scott Sherrar says this question could have been more easily answered with proper documentation.
You kind of have to trust that sort of word of mouth, sort of the story has been passed down over a couple of generations. Whereas archaeologists, when they go out in the field now, we have a whole system for how we document things, photographing and getting the site on the state registry, just taking field notes and like fully documenting where it came from, what other artifacts or archaeological features might be associated with it.
Local contra dancers are preparing for an annual event that brings people to Fairbanks from the lower 48. Monty Bowen has details now in this week's edition of That's Interiortainment.
The Contra Borealis Dancers is an open and cross-generational group of folks who enjoy building a community with dancing to live music. They have dancers from 12 to 82 years old, and sometimes younger, and strive to be a community of dancers, musicians, and callers.
Contra dancing originated from, in the French language, contra meant facing one another. So it's much like square dancing, except that the dancers line up opposite their partner in long lines, and they move down the lines as the night progresses, or as the dance progresses. And so they, at each turn of the dance, they're dancing, they move their way down and dance with different partners.
The 4th annual Winter Dance Weekend is set for February 19th, 20th, and 21st at Pioneer Park Dance Hall. This year, the musicians and the caller are all coming from the lower 48.
People generally come for the weekend, and there are dances on Friday and Saturday night, and there are workshops in the afternoons on Saturday and Sunday, so that people can learn dance moves that they can then apply on the dance floor in the evening.
Many people get involved because of the family atmosphere.
I love the community. I love that it's very family friendly, and you know, kids start dancing really around the age of 6 or 7, and they're welcomed, and it's just a very friendly group.
People can attend any of their events, no partner necessary, and instructions are given at each dance.
That's Interiortainment, brought to you by Midnight Sun Family Medicine.
Joe Cook is up next with the sports and brings us a story on a family of dog mushers.
Also, results from the early action at the Dean Cummings tournament and more on the surging Ice Dogs. Stay tuned with sports with Joe.
Welcome back, Interior Sports fans. Joe Cook here with your local Thursday Sportscast. It's a good time to be an Ice Dogs fans. There's a lot of good things happening right now with the junior hockey program. The NAHL's leading scorer and assist man, Ice Dog forward Todd Burgess, is one of 9 league players and alums on the latest NHL Central Scouting Rankings. He appears at number 203. Reggie Lutz is the Midwest Star of the Week after a 5-point series against Springfield that resulted in a sweep. The Big Dipper is up for nomination again for the Kraft Hockeyville contest. The Dipper was a national finalist last year and won $20,000. You can nominate the Dip until March 11th on crafthockeyville.com. Voting starts April 12th. The grand prize winner hosts a NHL preseason game and will receive $150,000 in arena upgrades. This weekend, the Ice Dogs host division rival Minnesota. They match up the last two league champions. Lutz and his line will try to continue to produce against a team Fairbanks swept last September.
Our line's just been clicking with me, Tomlin, and Anderson. Cross played with us this last weekend because Anderson's out with his knee. But yeah, I think we just really started clicking against this team, and our chemistry is really going right now.
You know, they're a new team, or a different team than last year. We are as well. Obviously, there's been success with both programs over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's always a battle. All our games seem to be close, whether we're there or here, so we got to be prepared for that, and our game needs to step up another level for sure.
And here are some results from high school basketball and hockey. In today's early Dean Cummings tournament games, in the girls' games, Monroe fell 37-35 to Galena. A close one there. Savannah Mapp had a career high 21 points for Monroe. The Valdez girls defeat Allison 52-36. Hutchinson, they win 51-36 over Houston. In the boys' bracket, Hutchinson won their first game of the year, 54-44 over Houston, and the Rams topped Valdez 52-33. In the hockey last night, West Valley beats Colony 6-1. Insane stats. Gabe Rankin scores 5 goals, and Stasi Skorowski had 5 assists for the Wolfpack in the win. The dog mushing season is in full swing. The Yukon Quest is just 16 days away, and there's still a chance that the Iditarod will restart in Fairbanks again this year. But tonight we focus on the other realm of the sport, sprint mushers. We meet a family that is continuing the tradition of mushing from generation to generation. Jennifer and Carl Earhart are third-generation sprint dog mushers, and they are off to a solid start to their season. Carl won the Orville and Doris Lake Memorial, and Jennifer won 2 titles in the ADMA Animayet Challenge Series last weekend. She was also runner-up in the 6-dog class in last year's Limited North American. They met and started Pro Dog Racing Kennels in 2011. Dog mushing is in their blood.
Dogs are part of our Athabascan culture, a part of Alaska Native culture as a whole. They were used for transportation. The dog mushing, the racing, gives us a reason to still have dogs and to own kennels, so it's like carrying on a tradition.
The Earhart's home has trophies everywhere from various races throughout the years. Their children Zoe, Corey, Shayla, Brianna, and Dion all mushed too. Last week in the junior races, Zoe won the 3-dog class and Dion placed 4th in the 2-dog class, her very first race. Dog mushing gives them a chance to be together.
Sprint and limited mushing is really great because the kids can do basically similar to what we're doing also.
The sport of dog mushing, distance or sprint, is expensive. An average season of mushing costs the Earharts around $20,000 for a kennel that is currently at 23 dogs, which is relatively small.
I know what it costs per dog per day. I have an average cost. My goal always every year is to try to get the dogs to sort of pay for themselves with races and with sponsors.
With the upkeep of dogs, time commitment, money, and dealing with Alaskan winters, why do they mush?
It's the most free feeling for me in the whole wide world when I'm out there on the trail with my dogs.
I got a chance to experience that feeling of freedom.
Now I'm about to see how it really feels to be out on the dog mushing trail.
The Earhart's goal is to win as many races as they can, help put the sport of mushing back in the forefront, and compete in the Open North American. But maybe the time they spend together training and mushing as a family is just as rewarding.
We breed and raise and train our own dogs, and our kids are involved in that. When there's a success, it's something that we can all share.
You learn so much from dogs about work ethic, responsibility, and just so much.
Joe Cook reporting. And if you'd like to become a Pro Dog Race Kennel sponsor, go to their Facebook page. You can email prodogkennel@gmail.com. Great experience out there, dog mushing for the first time. But that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for watching. Mike Schultz is next with weather. And as always, we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into our Thursday night Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again talking about the weather, and today was not a bad day across the interior. In fact, clear skies for the most part. And coming up in tonight's weather, here's what we're going to be talking about. We're looking at a quiet day across the interior. Also looking at another good chance for auroras. They were out last night. I know I saw about 1 o'clock this morning, putting on a pretty good show. And then much warmer temperatures are on the way for next week. That's good to pass along. What's going on as far as our satellite and radar? You can see everything is staying way to the south. Again, most of the energy mainly over southeast Alaska and over the south central sections. Not much working its way past through the Alaska range. The overall picture is looking like this. Again, you see some showers around the Ketchikan region. Also some mixed rain and snow at Juneau. Few showers in the Anchorage Bowl. Cloudy and showery conditions at Kodiak. 33 degrees there, and Cold Bay reporting rain showers all day long with 33 also. You jump over the Aleutian Chain, you get back into the cold air once again. Bethel at 6 degrees, 10 degrees at Nome, and even colder at Barrow, 6 degrees below zero, with 6 below zero also at Fort Yukon. And we are talking about the lower 48 weather because that's going to be the main focus for a lot of weather in the next few days, as you can see here. Looking at more rain moving across the Pacific Northwest, but the storm system that everybody's going to be keeping an eye on is this one that's cranking up and really becoming a very powerful system, already bringing some tornado problems into the deep south. And as the system roars up the east coast, it's going to really become a real big snowstorm. As you can see here, this storm will be developing rapidly tomorrow, with the area of low pressure sitting over Alabama, and then it'll be moving in and bringing with it just some incredible amounts of snow. And it's all being brought in by the jet stream once again. You can see it starting on the west coast, then taking a big dive down to the south, pulling all that cold air in behind it from Canada and mixing with that Gulf of Mexico moisture. And there's your major snowstorm. It could be one of the worst ever for the Washington, D.C. area. And that'll be more coming your way on the NBC Nightly News about that. Time for kids' weather, and this week we're talking with the kids from Tickasick Brown Elementary School. But tonight, let's hear from the teacher with a really cool weather fact.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Nelson, and this is my 3rd grade class from Tickasick Brown Elementary School, and we have a weather fact to share with you. Boys and girls, did you know that lightning is really hot? In fact, it is estimated to 54,000 degrees, or 6 times hotter than the surface of the sun. Wow!
And as always, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And next week, we're going to be having the spotlight on the kids from Two Rivers Elementary School. Okay, here's your forecast for tomorrow for the northern sections of Alaska. Looking at partly cloudy skies mainly. Temperatures pretty chilly, 11 degrees below at Barrow. Some light snow in the Fort Yukon region. Over the rest of the interior, looks like just mainly cloudy skies with some isolated snow showers scattered across the region, and temperatures fairly chilly. Over southeast Alaska, more rain in the forecast. As you can see, Juneau looking at 37 degrees and showery conditions, and more showers around the Ketchikan region, 42 there also. And over the southwest part of the state, partly cloudy skies at Cold Bay and Bethel, with rain and snow shower activity mainly around the Kodiak region. And over the south central regions, if you're heading on down to the Anchorage Bowl, it looks like partly cloudy skies for Homer and Anchorage, and maybe some rain and snow in the Valdez region. And it is a Thursday night, which means it's time for our road conditions. As you can see here, the Dalton Elliott Highway, there's some icy spots and some possible overflow from milepost 395 to 405. Keep that in mind. It happened last year. They're hoping it doesn't happen again this year. Elsewhere, Steesh Richardson Highway, blowing snow on the higher elevations of the Steesh Highway with the drifting snow there, and then snow on the road right on down on the Richardson Highway down to Delta Junction. Over the Parks Highway, icy patches, snow on the road, and some slippery spots. And our forecast for the remainder of the night, we're looking at temperatures, as you can see right now, 2 degrees at the airport. The high today, 3 degrees, 2 below last night. There's your high of 47 in 1961, but 61 below in 1906. Your sunrise and sunset, 5 hours and 43 minutes, a gain of 6 minutes from yesterday. And there's our forecast for tonight, 14 below, a little colder than it was last night. Mostly clear skies, then increasing clouds, but maybe there'll be some auroras out before the clouds move in. Over the forecast for tomorrow for 3 degrees below zero with some isolated snow showers. And again, the forecast for the 5-day period, temperatures warming up very nicely. 20s by Monday, and then even warmer to the mid to upper 20s by Tuesday and Wednesday. The only precipitation will be some isolated snow shower activity possibly on Saturday, and daytime highs, overnight lows will be right around 10 degrees. And our photograph for tonight, speaking of auroras, this is a really cool one sent in by Adriana Lynch. She got the aurora through the clouds last night with the moon there, and well, that's a really cool photograph. You'd think it would be taking it during the daytime, they're so bright, but anyway, if you have a photograph, send it to photos@ktvf11.com. That's a very unique photograph.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's
honestly.
really interesting.
All right, thank you very much, Mike, and that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Well, tonight on NBC Nightly News, as I said before, the colossal snowstorm is the big news, setting its sights on unleashing its fury on 88 million Americans. That's up next with Lester Holt.
You can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
We're going to leave you tonight with a shot of this evening's full moon. From all of us here at News Center, have a good night.
Good night.